it's kind of, anyway, it's a long story, but he requires a lot of care and he's not good with other people, other animals, or anything. So he's a free roam pain in the ass.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But yes, I would say I'm ready, but I've got to figure out some kind of way. Well, let's just put it this way. It's a great, it's in alignment with what I want to do. At this point, with my injuries and this rabbit, I'm not sure. I've got to get myself together first. But yes, once
Yeah,
I,
something along that wouldn't be, yeah, it wouldn't be just you. And I've been swamped, and I've been meaning to get back to you.
oh,
And
that's so
we can
quite all right.
I'd
Yeah,
definitely like to set up a call here in the near future with Yossi and you and myself,
yeah,
and talk about some ways to go about this. So
yeah, yeah. Cool. Sounds great.
okay,
Thank you. And don't
hey,
ever worry, I'm a Hawaiian, so time, whatever, whenever.
right on, right
Yeah,
on.
thank you.
Mr. B Charmer, Shane, how you doing, brother?
Oh no, this is Bevan. It's not Shane.
Oh, but B, okay, okay. You guys are on that B path, I guess. Bevan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm recovering from throwing my son's 16th birthday party last night.
Ooh,
But otherwise, yeah, just here to chat.
The Sweet 16. That's yeah, I'd imagine you're tired.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of just low key and perfect. We did a D&D one shot and the kids had a great time. And yeah, just nothing too extravagant.
as it should be, in my opinion. My parents took me out to dinner, I think. It was like very boring. I was
um
16.
we had tacos.
Nice.
We made tacos, had a bunch of friends over. It was definitely my favorite party that we've had in quite a long time.
Oh, many blessings. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy birthday to your son.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to him.
Yeah, well, that's all right. At 16, they don't care.
He does.
Oh, that's
He
sweet. I was
yeah,
going to
he
say,
loves it.
that's a general statement. My daughter wouldn't care.
He's kind of an old soul.
I love it.
Mhm.
I love it. Then definitely send my aloha.
Okay, I shall.
Looks like Ellie hopped on. I think that was who I was trying to figure out who that was on the last call. Ellie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Did you guys just start, or you've been on for a while?
We get on like 10 or 15 minutes early, but we get started at about 7:05, so about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Good to have you on. Thanks for hopping on again. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If anyone has anyone in mind that they'd like to send the link to before we get started, you are more than welcome to share. We appreciate it. Hey, Oren hopped on. How you doing, brother? If you tap on the screen, you can unmute yourself on the
In
bottom
the
left.
chat, he says he can't use his audio today. He's just listening.
Carter, can you message him to just put the link in the browser? I know a big thing with a lot of people, they click on it from Facebook, and then the Facebook permissions don't allow it. Oh, there we go. Can or can't? Oren, do you have audio now? No one. Well, how did you answer? Take this line and throw it in your browser. Thank you, Carter. I can hear you, but okay. Yeah, that's generally the permission. If you clicked on it through Facebook, sometimes it won't even like ask you to give that permission. Otherwise, if you copy and paste the link or just type in TrustLiveChat into the browser, then it should ask you for those permissions, and you'll be able to use your microphone. Looks like Carlos. I don't remember the name, so welcome if you're the first time. Wild Spirit, welcome. We'll give about 30 more seconds and we'll get started, guys. All right, everyone. So welcome to Trust Medicine People's Visionary Gathering. I apologize if there is an echo on my end. We just moved into a new house and it is a bit echoey at the moment. But good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and thank you for being here today. It is truly a privilege to gather with like-minded individuals as part of the Trust Medicine People community, a space where purpose, healing, and empowerment take center stage. At Trust Medicine People, our mission is rooted in fostering holistic and transformation. Through the Manumission Papers, we've introduced a hybrid trust that not only offers financial security and growth, but also provides the foundation for spiritual edification. These trusts are designed to help individuals uncover and live out their true purpose, empowering them to thrive in all aspects of life. We also specialize in credit repair and business funding through our partners, and recognizing the critical role for financial wellness that plays in personal and collective empowerment. By helping individuals and businesses access the resources they need, we pave the way for greater opportunities and long-term success. And looking forward to the future, we are committed to creating healing sanctuaries, sacred spaces where ancient plant medicines and traditional healing modalities blend with modern techniques to facilitate deep personal transformation. These sanctuaries will serve as hubs for healing, reflection, growth, and embodying our belief in the power of reconnection to the earth, to the community, and to one's inner self. Furthermore, as part of our global vision, we are collaborating with green tech partners to establish self-sustained and regenerative permaculture systems in underserved and third world areas. By integrating advanced green technology with traditional agricultural methods, we aim to restore ecosystems, uplift communities, and create pathways to sustainable living for future generations. This gathering is more than a meeting. It's a step toward creating a world that reflects our shared values of trust, healing, and regenerative growth. Together, we are building a future where purpose and empowerment meet global impact. So welcome to Trust Medicine People, everyone, where your journey to liberation, healing, and contribution begins. Let's get started. Yossi, if you want to go ahead and kick it off with your non-disclaimer disclaimer.
Thanks, everyone, for hopping on the call. As we say every single time, we are not lawyers. Nothing that you hear on this call should be construed as financial advice. At best, this is towards spiritual edification, education, and maybe we have some laughs along the way. And that's what it's really about, is just connecting with people who resonate the same as we do, and having a big powwow and chopping it up. So that being said, we do claim all natural, unalienable rights. Anything that was granted to us by our Creator, that man has put confines on with words and word magic, we dispel that during these sessions. So yeah, there's not much more to it. This is a freestyle form. People, if you have questions, drop them in the chat, and somebody will field those questions and then prompt you when it's your time. If you could raise your hand before just opening up your mic, that would be awesome too, because sometimes just the feedback is incredible. Thank you, everyone. Mr. James, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, so typically, we'd like to open up with a question on our end. And I like to start with that to just get everyone warmed up here. So basically, the question that I have today to start things off, and after I ask this question, feel free to elaborate on these questions if you guys want to go further into them, or just ask questions similar, or that's on these topics. There's also other conversations that we had with medicine and health and everything else. So that's why it's open. But my question first and foremost to start is, what is a negotiable instrument?
Awesome question. I was prompted with this question about 20 minutes ago. I'm all about answering as many of these questions, but no, guys, check my facts, check my logic. Make sure that you don't ever trust me or anyone else with this information. Check it against the truth. And if the truth doesn't resonate immediately, and you detect bullshit, drill into it, probe it, until it exposes itself. Truth obviates itself through what is not truth. So that being said, a negotiable instrument is a check in its basic form. There are many variations of it. There are traveler's checks, there's personal checks, there are drafts that are essentially checks with terms and conditions. There are money orders, which is a form of a check, if you want to see it that way. A negotiable instrument is anything where it's payable either on demand or to the bearer of the instrument under the terms and conditions set forth in the contract. So what is not a negotiable instrument? That's also it's a gray area, and it's odd because while it would appear if you can do a collateral assignment on a life insurance policy that it also would classify as a negotiable instrument, but life insurance policies actually fall outside of the range of what is a negotiable instrument because there are specific adhesion terms and conditions set forth by the producer of the policy, so that the contract that is signed is the thing that holds all of the weight. Now, with using and utilizing negotiable instruments, we have to realize that essentially we're dealing with securities. And if we're dealing with securities or security-like instruments that are governed under certain codified insurance producers' manuals, like the UCC, then that right there, will tell you everything that you need to know about a negotiable instrument and how you can use it. Another common form of a negotiable instrument is a promissory note. Promise to pay. I promise to pay you this on this date under these conditions. Negotiable instrument.
So when you receive a bill, like let's say it's an electrical bill, a utility bill, is that like a
Mhm.
promissory note?
Well, what is specifically, what are they asking?
They're asking you to cover a certain amount of, money that you owe for, energy that you used.
So now we're talking about debt. There was some kind of debt relationship that was created between you and some second or third party in a contract, and then they're holding you to that contract to perform on that contract. And for some reason, we've got the whole creditor debtor thing completely backwards, and it's one of those things where you look at the horse and it's spinning, it's pirouetting and spinning to the left. And then if you switch over into your right hemisphere, it's going to the right, right? It's that simple to really see the relationship that's going on there, how each of us was leveraged as instruments and collateral for essentially a grand scheme of printing money out of nothing and using us as the backing for it. So the electric bill specifically, right? The electric bill specifically. Now we open up into this whole concept of what is a trust, right? And that CQV implied social security number transmitting utility crazy entity that they created for us that we call the straw man, right? That was the thing that we burned during the last conversation. And that straw man is responsible for transmitting the utility that is involved in leveraging its debt or its credit against and in order to balance the books on that electric bill because it's a public utility, right? So an electric bill is one of the few examples that a water bill, any kind of public utility where you'll see a lot of special endorsements and a lot of different varying techniques and administrative processes work very well and consistently, but not so much in the commercial world because they've obfuscated their true identity from us through paper. I hope that didn't get too far off in left field, and maybe still answered that question. If you need me to clarify at any point, I will.
No, I get the gist of it. Does anybody else have any questions on this particular topic and would like to elaborate a little bit more? Feel free to go ahead and open up your mic.
It looks like Janai might have, according to the chat.
I'm sorry. Did I actually raise my hand by accident? I don't know. I didn't have a question on that. No, not specifically.
Okay, I was just going off of your message to the chat.
Oh, okay. Did I listen? I'm pressing buttons over here, so just ignore me.
Okay.
You're good.
Thank you.
All right, did anyone have a question regarding that or anything similar to that? I know James, I think he had one or two more questions, and then we can more open it up. If not, James, go ahead, brother.
Yes, hold on a minute.
Yossi, could you emphasize on a transmitting utility for Sol and Maeve? It looks like Maeve.
Sure. The transmitting utility is the entity that was created with the birth record or a birth certificate plus the social security number that was given at the age of maturation. It's essentially there's an insurance policy that's backing it, and that is the thing that everybody's trying to tap into for free things. Now, at best, that utility agent, the transmitting utility, the Sesta QV trust, the whatever you want to call it, that entity right there can at best charge and discharge debt. That's all it can do is balance the books. The minute you start getting a check in your mailbox from the US Treasury is the minute you have to start looking over your shoulder.
So in other words, it's
Can
very
I,
sorry.
can I
it's
ask
very-
another question? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead and ask. No problem.
okay. So when I look, so Siskiyou Trust, isn't that just the beneficiary of a trust? Like it's an old name, right, for a beneficiary.
Yep. It technically, I mean, I think literally means he who benefits, right? Or he or she who benefits from this. And it was created by kings in order to be able to control land, right? And make it so that beneficiaries could always be controlled as to how the land was handed down from heir to heir. So yeah, the Sesta QV, it is technically and definitionally means for the benefit of. Now we call it the Sesta QV Trust because we know that that's what it's known in the common realm, right? But in reality, we probably shouldn't be calling it that, because in order to call it that, you would have to have established some kind of beneficiary status or interest in that in that transmitting utility. And if you don't know how it was created behind the scenes, and it was created without your consent, and the terms and conditions of the contract weren't disclosed to you, now you're talking about something completely different now. Now it's black magic that you're dealing with. So, you know, that's why it's not that you're necessarily benefiting from it. You can benefit from it, but most of it is a liability. It's like 90% liability, 10% benefit. Now we encourage people, don't set it on fire, because in setting it on fire, what's going to happen is the 10% benefit is going to reduce to nothing. And then the whole absence of the contract will become 100% liability for you. And that's as clear as, it's as clear as day. You just have to look at case law, look at what happens when people mess around and they play with the IRS thinking that they're, that they're not who they are. So yeah,
Here, I googled the definition real quick. It says Sesta KV is a legal term that refers to a person whose life is used to determine the length of a trust, estate, gift, or insurance policy. The term is French for he who lives.
He who lives. He who lives. Boom. Almost. It's ironic because he who lives is he who benefits. That is the case. And when you find a properly structured trusts like the ones that we produce, what you'll see in it, embedded in the framework of it, is that he who lives is the main solid foundation of the whole thing. That's how you leverage life insurance policies that most people consider just for their death benefit, and you use those to be able to expand your personal family's lineage and wealth and dynasty and tribe, and tap into all of your dreams. Because if the dreams that we have actually outweigh the system that's been set up for us to take advantage of ourselves, then we can like really start making progress. But it's always got to be, for the benefit of another. And so it's taking that, he who lives, but it's also realizing and recognizing that, well, he who lives will die. And that death means we don't own anything while we're here. At best, we're just sojourners, crossing through, holding each other's hands back to the centerpiece.
So in other words, you're saying that the people that, take themselves out of the system, they're really screwing things up though, right? Like they,
I mean, think about it this way. I mean, that life has a way of throwing you curveballs, and you might be in your 40s and be like, I'm on top of the world. I'm going to buck the whole contract, rip it up. Usually it won't happen in your 40s because by then you know enough. It'll happen in your early 30s or in your 20s. That's where a lot of these people are, burning their IDs and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It's more so a chemical reaction that's being exploited by electromagnetic frequencies and a very clever scheme that's been put in place to intentionally manipulate people and treat them as food for parasites, essentially. But that being said, yes, like don't burn something that you don't know what it is. At best, it's a piece of paper that somebody gave you. At best that. You can't back out of a contract if you don't know the terms and conditions of the contract. Now, what you can do is you can set up a different entity and you can operate exclusively through that entity. And then you can dwindle down that public side, and not necessarily by just defaulting on everything. You want to make right on all of your past, everything that you did in the past before you knew better. Make right on it. Settle your debts. Do it however you have to. Settlement is always the best way. And a settlement with a promissory note is performance. Okay, that satisfies performance, and it can be brought into a court of law and up to an appellate court if necessary. And as long as you're performing on the contract, you win. It might take a while, and unless you're representing yourself, it will exhaust your resources. But at the same time, you'll win because right is right. And regardless of what we think about the system that's been set up for us, it has to be based on natural law. It can't be anything other than that. That's from the time we came through here. Our ancestors, like everything is based on natural law. If it's not, it doesn't work. So it's the system, the beast is based on natural law. The operating principles will appeal to your senses. They'll make it past that firewall that you have and that bullshit detector, and then make it very threatening. And it works through fear, essentially.
Yeah, I've seen like the Christopher Hauser types, BJW, them talking about completely eliminating that, that side of it, and separating yourself completely from the system. But I see how this effectively is not doing that. Therefore, you're not risking yourself. You're not risking your life. You're still abiding by those things, but you're not, you're not giving it all away either, which makes you vulnerable, in my opinion.
Oh, it makes you incredibly vulnerable. Yep, 100% liability once you give it away, because now there's questions. Now there's questions where there did not need to be questions. And if that entity was just another bum on the street, it would not be generating money in its bank account. It wouldn't be having to report. It could, if it wanted to, tap into the public side and derive benefit if it were ever in a jam. And you never want to position somebody ethically. Now I'm talking, right? I'm not talking legally, because lawyers and clever tricksters, and there are many out there, they will try to convince you that you should just destroy the public entity, eliminate it, back out of all of your contracts, and it's exhaustive, and it's supposed to be exhaustive because they know that you're never going to get there. You're never going to beat that learning curve or reach it to a point where you can actually start accomplishing something. It's just a black hole. So yeah, don't destroy that contract. Let it breathe. Redefine it. If anything, go back to the birth record and do a record correction, and do a series of record corrections until it reflects how you want it to be reflected. And then use that to dispute and settle every single debt that you had up until the point that you started operating in the private. But once you operate in the private and you realize how easily you can compound wealth, and how with just some very simple financial strategies that seem to elude most people, you can actually exponentiate your dream. And then on an energetic level, if you align with that process, you're golden. You're golden.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not about, I'm sorry, brother. It's not about getting free shit. It's about getting, paying 10 to 30 cents on a dollar, if you can, for every dollar. And then getting a bunch of assets that cash flow, and using that cash flow to support your dream and to give to others. If you're not in that mindset, you don't get it.
No, that's beautiful, man. I totally agree with that. Soul, you have the floor. I saw you raise your hand. After that, I think B, you have a question next.
I just wanted to understand when you said if you get rid of it, you have 100% liability. That's because you can no longer like go for a remedy like that's what was that SGR, whatever that is, when they took the gold and silver, as they say. So
Yep,
there's
and it's not just the remedy that you're after, right? Because we the best remedy that we can get is books balanced, zeros on both sides. Perfect, awesome. Now you're no debt, no credit. Now second best is unlimited zeros after a 1 on both sides, unlimited funds, unlimited debt, right?
and that's with
The
negotiable instruments, you're saying?
Well, negotiable instruments can be used to create that kind of a structure, but essentially, you would absolutely have to, think a little bit different. Rephrase your question in a way where it wasn't. There's no implied contracts at place, right? You've got an entity floating around out there. If you don't use it, it's not going to die. It's made of straw, right? It's not going to die. It's made of straw. So the best thing to do is let it be. Know that at some point you may have to use it. You may become disabled. And then you have to collect some kind of income in order to be able to support yourself. Your dream might fall apart should you succumb to any of the basic temptations in life, pride being the first one, right? The foundation. So there are many ways that our dreams can fall apart. What we see here though is that you might need Medicaid one day. Realistically, I don't think many people are in a position where they can fund really good private insurance that could fly them to another country and have some alternative, advanced alternative treatment for a life-threatening disease. Most people are dependent on chemo and bullshit like that, and that's at best what they have to offer. So, on some level, let it be, so that you don't cause tension. And then on another level, you might need it one day in an emergency. But aside from that, operate through a private trust. Operate only for your dream. Get a bunch of LLCs if you have to, if you have a bunch of ideas, and create operating agreements between the LLCs and the trust, so that the trust is always going to be asking the LLC for a payback, and the LLC is always going to be indebted. And then that makes it so that the LLC can report nothing on paper, or some kind of possibly even receive some kind of benefit from that. And the non-reporting 508c1a religious entity can gobble up all of the juice for the dream and benefit others. And that's how the game is supposed to be played. That's how the big dogs play it. That's how the Constitution of the United States and every single document that was created to reflect freedom that was granted to us before it, and the union that existed before it, all of that documentation all points to the same thing. Look at the way that it's structured, right? Constitution is structured that way. There's the United States, which is the entity that is the 508c1a in this instance, and then there's the United States of America, or the corporation. And the corporation has a bunch of employees, and each one of those employees has a contract on its head, where it's an insurance contract. An insurance contract that those employees will be forced to, through not forced, but strongly coerced into paying into the cash value component of that contract, so that when they reach the age of maturity and they're no longer useful to the workforce, they can start to deduct from that contract and what they paid into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for the question, and for the request for clarification. I know sometimes I get off on things. They might not seem like they're connected, but at least in my world, they're connected.
Yeah, brother, that was a great question. Thank you for that, and Yossi, wonderful explanation, brother. Appreciate it as always. Bev, looks like I don't know if we got to you, Bev. The real sauce, in my opinion, is the living in private and in the public. But how do we take the confusions out of this philosophy and demystify it to use it as a way of life?
Kaboom! Wow, what an amazing question that one was. Alignment first. Alignment first, then action. Once you align, it doesn't matter through action how many mistakes you make. You will learn from those mistakes. And you'll learn and you'll become more prudent, and more precise, and more exacting, and more visionary, and more able to see your dreams come into life. Now, if you do it the other way around, you're a monkey chasing its tail. If you're just focusing on action and there's no alignment behind it, you got a lot of dying to do. That's all.
I think that when you talk about when you answer a question, for instance, and you share the piece where you're like, um, it's about creating abundance overflow and,
Correct.
giving out into your community and creating
Hmm.
and weaving in abundance among the people that you want to share your dream with, and then some.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the piece that, like, nourishes me the most. I get really excited when I hear it, but then there's also the mental side of it,
Yeah.
um, where I've
Yeah.
looked at this many times, and just like you said just now, trying to put action before alignment just creates more confusion. And there are so many different ways of taking action towards this same goal that sometimes people just get bogged down within each other. And so I guess that's kind of the piece that I'm looking at is I'm
Hmm.
listening, but I'm also listening with that in mind.
You should be always, because yes, we say that, but what does it even mean, right? What does it even mean to align first? It definitely, the one thing that I can tell it means through experience is, like you said, the abundance overflow. That feed that thing as much as possible. Give freely without expectation on return, but be precise with intention, and know that when you're giving, you're not just giving to give, you're giving intentionally. And if you're using cash, fold that bill, a 20 back at yourself, and then hand it off. If you're brave enough, put it to your heart first, right? And hand it off. And it's all about that intention and aligning with that thing in your dream and service to others. That's the thing that brings everything in. Yeah, absolutely. Now, how do you do that with a trust? Is probably I think that's the question that you're asking, right?
Yeah, and I did appreciate how you specifically made a point already to describe the operating agreements between the LLCs and them just kind of feeding each other. And I
Yes.
would totally love to hear like more deeper into that concept.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's an awesome concept right there, right? Because here you can operate. Not only are you not destroying that public entity and not burning the straw man, but you're using it and utilizing it and leveraging its capacity to conduct credit in the commercial world, and sue and get sued and all of that fancy stuff that they do with the legalese. But you're leveraging it now to create LLCs, and those LLCs are essentially the main leverage point is using it to create your trust. I know it's paradoxical to some people. They go, but why would I want my social security number associated with an quote unquote invisible trust, even if it's just for an EIN? Well, the reason is very simple. The trust itself it shares a name. Now, it will DBA as many things through the course of its lifetime, but initially, upon its creation, it shares the same given name that you have, the all caps name. There's no differentiation when you're creating the EIN. The EIN, because of the classification of it and the agency and what is defined by the parameters that you put into that bot that then generates the EIN, that thing right there is the thing that puts the trust part at the end of it. You don't do that. You just, this is who you are. Now, on the private side, you have provisions, clauses, and detailed terms and conditions that govern and commandeer that entity that was created without your consent, reducing all of those implied adhesion contracts and something that was created, through mischief, reducing it to explicit writing, and then saying that, the terms and conditions that are in the main contract now, which is the trust agreement, are the terms and conditions that will govern that entity from here on out. What does that mean? That means that as the chairperson or the chairman or the chairwoman of the board of trustees for the private trust that is the same, that shares the same name with the all capped stylized Cesta QV Trust transmitting utility entity, you share the same name with it. So that means that if it has debt, then the trustee, as a living man, in my case, who has an interest in the trust that I'm a trustee for, I have every duty, every obligation to go into that other record and start making adjustments and start doing record corrections. Because now record corrections are a monologue, not a dialogue. It's not back and forth. There's no administrative process. It's, this is what happened. You messed up. This is what needs to be corrected. This is how you can do it if necessary, if you need to explain it to them, right? But the actual entity that you've created is the thing that governs all of that. So while you have a private side document that at some point during the course of your life might be huge, over hundreds of pages, but because of your utilization of the minutes sheets alone and treating it as a diary for the trust, it could blow up into something that is biblical, right? Each one of us has that potential. Some of us are more limited than others, right? But what you can see and the dream that you can see is the thing that you can be. Because if you have this manumission paperwork behind you, not only do you have that private side trust documentation, but you also have annexed public side documentations, which essentially are just abstracts of the trust, pieces of the trust, only the pieces that the entity that you're associating with would ever need to know, right? A bank doesn't need to know about your dreams. A bank just needs to know, do you have the power to open a bank account? Or is there proof that the trust exists? And if you have power to open a bank account, what do those powers look like? Can you withdraw money? Can you use money for real estate and other investments? Can you deposit your paycheck into that account? Okay, so if you have all of that on paper and you go to open the account and they take it upstairs to their lawyers and the lawyers come right back and say, check, 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 check. Now you have an account that you can deposit whatever you want into, because you know that your support, your life support system is the thing that makes your dream run. The maintenance of you alone and how you appear and how you are and how you, the things that you do, that's the thing that makes your dream grow. So yeah, we can go as deep as you want with this. That LLC and trust relationship, it's designed for the growth of both entities in perpetuity. The trust always makes sure that it charges the LLC like 18% at the end of the year, right before that fiscal year ends. The LLC will always request from the trust another tranche of funding that exceeds the previous tranche that it couldn't pay back. And the trust will always extend it to it on paper. And then at the beginning of the year, the LLC just pays the trust back throughout the year. And unless it's super successful, won't reach its goal or make any profit. I know I covered a lot there. I'm sorry if I'm if I went off on this or that.
Yossi, that was perfect, and I believe you. I believe you covered this. I just want to touch base because this might be a little more specific. Might have kind of brushed by it, but Soul asks, is it a first in line, first in time type of relationship between the trust and the LLCs?
Always. So here's the way it works. The trust is always going to be the 100% equitable owner in the LLC. Ideally, you get an LLC through Wyoming, and the trust is the one that created the LLC. It's the managing member of the LLC. And as the managing member, it has a board of trustees that you appoint as the chairperson of that trust, and they carry out the duties. And you just make sure that every time you appoint a trustee, that you appoint them with the limited powers and terms and conditions of that contract explicitly written on paper, and then you have them sign it and notarize it and send it back to you. And then that's all that would be required with that.
Thank you.
Perfect, brother. Thanks for clarifying that. Anybody have any questions?
I still got some questions just because I mean I got so many questions really. I just want to respect like the space.
Yeah, we appreciate that, brother. Go ahead, fire away.
Yeah, brother, the best way you can respect the space is by asking questions.
Okay. So I just because I've been kind of studying this on my own, listening to people, and I got a bunch of paperwork that I've been reading through and stuff. And one of the things that I guess I'm trying to figure out, you know, the secured party thing. This isn't like a secured party type of situation, or is it?
Well, there are secured parties. Listen, the way that you become a secured party is by filing a UCC or a non-UCC security interest statement and then perfecting that interest on that. Now, that can be you're commandeering that Sesta QV trust, but it's better to do it from the public side. The minute that you try to do it it's better to do it from the private rather through a trust. The minute that you try to do it in the public is the minute that all those flags start popping up.
And so then the flags are real though. It just depends on how you. It just depends on the format that you go for. That either they're going to be like, "Oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing," or "This guy does know what he's doing." And if you know what you're doing, then they don't.
Ideally, you commandeer that entity, brother, and you secure your interest in whatever you have interest in, and you do it under the radar so that they don't even have a chance to know anything about it. The minute that you notify them, that is the minute that, you've chosen to go out into the public. Now, if you choose to go out in the public, you better notify them. You better, because notice is the thing that that distinguishes from somebody just messing around or learning through a process and criminal intent.
Oh yeah, because if you give notice, then there's no criminal intent. Then they have then they get a chance to say, "Oh, you know what? You're making a mistake here." But if you don't give notice and you just do it, then you don't give them a chance to correct it. Or something like that?
Yep. That's it. That's precisely what's going on. I mean, you can be a you can be a church in Texas, and you work with a boga. Let's say the sacred bark from that the Bwiti use for ceremonies, that grandfather plant, and you can put all of the 3-letter agencies on notice. Let them know through an abstract of a private trust that is what you do, and you work with these sacred medicines as your ancestors did. Right now, if you do that, you're looking to put everyone on the ports at notice, the DEA, the FBI, all the big players, all the ones where you go like, no, I'm not going to do that. But that's the whole thing. Put them on notice. If they don't answer, then you're good to go, because silence is acquiescence. Now, as long as you cite freedom of religious expression and religious beliefs that are sincerely held, that have prompted the notice, now you're in a space where you control the cards, because either they're going to tell you that there isn't a separation between church and state, which they will never do, or they're going to either just let it go, which is a win for you, or they're going to respond back with an actual permit. And then that permit is something that you can leverage to be able to do that process as many times as you need to, as long as it's, all above board. And I'm leaving out 99% of that process right now, intentionally. But I'm just using it as an example of why giving notice is so important, right? If you don't give notice and it comes into the port, and then it gets shipped around, and it gets caught up in customs or whatever, now you've got a huge problem. Could compound into many people having problems. So that's where it's a tricky one that we're working with. And when we're talking about secured parties, we're talking about essentially giving notice that I've commandeered that entity. But who has? The living man? That living man never created that entity. How can it commandeer it unless it's a pirate? Now, if you're a pirate, we're going to come at you totally different than we would if you were just cool, building your own life raft and then turning the life raft into a yacht one day. If you were just floating below the radar and doing that, and we thought we had control over your vessel, that's much, to me, it's a much better line of thinking, middle of the road, jump in the traffic, whichever way's going faster, but don't get caught up in traffic.
So just to clarify, if I understood what you're saying, is you're saying what you do is a UCC one under your trust, so that
nope,
okay,
unnecessary.
Okay.
Unnecessary, unless, listen, this is always the way that you want to think. What is the specific instance that or circumstances surrounding the thing that I'm trying to achieve? And while I might have knowledge and know how to do something and have done it repeatedly, or have proof that it has been done repeatedly, can it be done better? And is the thing that I'm trying to achieve, is the path of least resistance to getting from point A to point Z the path that I've chosen? And if it's not, is there a possibility that I'm going to keep going between point A and point D and be in a loop over and over and over again? And then if that's the case, is that loop parasitic?
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because all you're doing is spinning your wheel. There's no real it's like there's no discharge then, right? Because it's all about balancing the books, as you were saying before. So the whole point was supposed to be, if you do a UCC one, is to help discharge whatever is going on, so it's balanced, right? Instead of having to.
Yeah, the only people who should really be going after the whole secured party creditor thing are, when I say big dogs, I'm talking about, if you're in a position of power. Trump should have done it. I don't know if he did. I know Clinton did it. I know that there are certain powerful people who have a lot of vested interest of big money in their name that can back that security interest, where they can secure for, they can raise the capital in a pinch of 100 million if they needed to be able to secure an interest in that entity, right? And most of them are lawyers, right?
Because you have to
most
have
of them are
that
lawyers.
somewhere, right? You have
Well,
to, whatever
if you
the bond or that's created.
yeah, if you're a lawyer, honestly, you have allegiance to something that's greater than any client that could ever walk in your door, right? And the allegiance that's something that's greater than even your strongest cause. You are bound to a certain set of rules. You have strict guardrails on what it is that you're capable of doing. And in that case, you may require some secured party interest to be able to commandeer that vessel on the public side, because you knew that through an executive order or something, you can just, make anything go away, essentially, right? Then go for it. But until you or I are in the in that White House, right? Let's not mess with that, because that's gotten a lot of people into trouble, and it's a path that has a lot of stumps and a lot of rocks, and it could be deadly.
Okay. And so this is a whole different type of trust thing that you're talking about then.
Completely. This is a contract with your creator that supersedes all man-made bullshit adhesion implied contracts that were created without your consent.
Okay. I think I'm getting it.
Yeah, we lean heavy on the two things that founded, every IMF nation specifically. Two things founded them: the religion and agriculture. They were religious people, or they were farmers. And if you can lean on one of the exemptions that have been grandfathered in, do it. Lean heavy on it, because that's your ticket to freedom right there. That's where your manumission papers get built from. Now, when I talk about farming, modern day farming, from what I can see, is regenerative agroforestry and different ways of healing the land so that as you grow, it grows and soil grows, and building soil and doing things that are giving. This whole thing that we're about, and that we're tapping into a network of people who are also about, is giving freely without expectation on return. That's what these Tuesdays and Saturdays are about. This is this is a service for us. This is the offering that we have, the main offering at this point. And while we can tap you into anything that you would need to know to be able to get from point A to point Z, and also very vetted very carefully, a lot of experts in the field that have our back and are our partners. At the same time, know that we're not going to we won't steer you toward speculation. We won't steer you toward something that hasn't been time tested and proven. And we definitely won't steer you towards something that's emotionally driven, right? So it can't be emotionally driven. It can't be out of desperation. Everything you do has to be out of a place of power and authenticity.
Okay, so do you have any suggestions of something that I could read, or something to get me kind of in the same direction you're talking about, and maybe get out of
Sure.
all the other stuff that I've been learning?
Yes, sure. Start off with the U.S. Constitution and the Articles of Confederacy. Anytime you see the United States, right in that space right there, you're going to put your full given name and then put trust at the end of it. And then anytime you see the United States of America, you're going to put your full given name and then in parentheses, put the word corp, just to remind you that that's the corpse. That's the that's the entity that was created for you to conduct in a world of commerce, and all the wizardry and all that. And then go ahead, search and replace through the Constitution, and then go read it. That's the best way that you're going to get a real solid foundation of where we're at right here, and the thing that was created. And then from there, read the Administrative Procedures Act. Read the Privacy Act if you want to enforce. All the gold nuggets are right there. Right there. And then get a good copy of Black's Law, 5th edition. I'll always plead the 5th, right? But the 5th edition of the Black's Law. That's what I always go to for my definitions. It's got tears and drool and sweat all over the pages, and all dirty and everything. But I put a lot of love into that book. I even slept with it under my pillow at one point. So
I'm sorry, could you say that one more? So I had to read the Constitution, and then it's also the administrative what?
The Administrative Procedures Act.
Procedures Act.
And embedded in that, you will find the Privacy Act. And then if you really want some like really good hard hitting reading, but more less technical, read the UN position papers by the Haudenosaunee, the Six Nations Council address to the United Nations in 1977. It's called A Basic Call to Consciousness. It is one of the most profound documents that have ever been submitted to that committee. It's what we base the 7 generations principle of sustainability that's in our trusts off of. That's what makes them legacy trusts.
Well, a basic call to consciousness.
A basic call to consciousness. Yep.
Okay, then I'll be able to know. Okay.
Yep.
And Black's Law 5th edition, huh? Plead the 5th.
Yep. Get the 5th.
I like that. All right. All right. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Sure. Absolutely, brother.
So thank you for bringing all your questions, brother. If it's something that an individual doesn't know, the questions are great because whether it be now or in the near future, somebody's going to have that same question. So yeah, you bring them, man, write them down before the next meeting, everything for the week, every question you have. And then we do these every Saturday and Tuesday. So when you hop on, man, ask away, man. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much, and thank you, Carlos. This is so awesome.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
All right. Oren, looks like Oren's next, has an important question. Go ahead, brother. If you get your mic figured out.
What's up, my brother?
Oh, he can't.
Text it.
Yeah, if you want to message it, brother. Type it. Yeah, we'll say it for you. And then while you're typing, anybody else have anything to? What about the new one? What about the new one that was released? The new Black's Law.
Yeah. So at the 5th, that's as new as it gets for me. That's as new as I need, right? Because I can see that after the 5th, they started to not only rewrite all of the definitions in a way to obscure and obfuscate meaning. It became thoroughly confusing, and definitely doesn't pack the same punch. That's all. The 5th is where it's at. That for me, at least. 5th, and if you're going to get something other than the 5th, go to the first one, just so that you can see some kind of juxtaposition and be able to say, "Oh, wow, this is what this actually meant." And then this is what it's become to meant. And that should give you enough of a trajectory where you can see that the J curve from that point just roars upward in confusion and bullshit. So they just put more and more bullshit into it and pad it with bullshit, and embed and create word wizardry. That's all that's going on there. Yeah, the 5th is all I've needed, and then a good etymology dictionary. Break down those words, know what it is that's being said and where it comes from.
Okay, he said, totally get that, but does the newer edition always supersede the latter? I personally, Oren, I have the 3rd edition, and like Yossi's saying, it's almost back to the basics. The more crap that they put in there, it just kind of leads to confusion. So,
yeah, but confusion and mischief, more mischief. That's all. The more mischievous the language becomes, the more releases of Black's Law that'll be out there.
Yeah, back to the basics. It's pretty much keep it simple. KISS.
Keep it simple.
Yep. No amendments that makes the previous incorrect. I would say no, Yossi.
Yeah, yep. You can't amend a root in order to be able to correct it. At best, they can just confuse it. That's really all that's going on. Up until Black's 5th, you had a lot of stuff that needed to be clarified. But and it's just my personal opinion. Also, if you have time and energy to read through and decipher through all of the editions, go for it, by all means. But I don't see why you'd want to live your life like that.
He said perfect. Thanks, Oren, for hopping on, brother. We really appreciate it. And hit us up on the back end. We know we were when you're ready to get going, brother. Time is on you. Appreciate you, my man. So let's see here. Wild, you're unmuted. I believe that's Dennis. Dennis, did you have anything to contribute?
Hey, you going, boy?
Hey, brother.
Yeah, I do have a question about the. I was talking to a mate on the last day or so about the private plates and the registration side of things, and we spoke about the over here. I think it's primary producer plates. He said he was saying that you can't put them on a car. And I don't know about this the license side of things, how you can get around not having that. Is there more information?
Brother, this is in your, it's actually in your trust paperwork. I think it's Article 24. I'm not necessarily sure. I don't have it in front of me right now. But there are agricultural provisions that are embedded in your trust paperwork that would allow you to purchase a vehicle, create a contract between a number of co-ops that are at the different points that you could possibly be traveling to and fro, and get agricultural plates, bro. You're looking to get agricultural plates. You need to lean heavy on that agricultural exemption for you to be able to, quote unquote, restore your driving privileges. You're not going to do it by saying, oh, I see there was a bunch of charges that were attached to that contract, but I don't want to do it anymore. That's not going to work. The way that you have to approach it is you have to secure a small piece of land. I think you have a buddy even that's willing to do that with you. And if you need help hashing that out, you can always contact me on the back end, and we could put together some paperwork that you and him agree on, where, you know, he at the very least leases you a small piece of land that just covers the agricultural exemption allotted amount. And then you get a car, you go car shopping from then. And then you make sure that when you get that car, you tell them that it's for agricultural purposes. You tell the OMV or the DMV it's for agricultural purposes. They'll give you the correct plates, and you just have to provide them with the paperwork, which will be an abstract of your trust and a copy of the lease agreement. And along with during that time somewhere, we're probably going to have to, quote unquote, apply for an exemption, but that's just a courtesy. It's just a courtesy call. That's not something that you'll ever be that will ever be denied, let's say.
Right.
Yeah, you got the path, bro. I know.
I've definitely seen it in the trust. I've already read it all there. I'm just going, you know, as you do, sometimes you talk to people that have actually looked into this a little bit themselves, and that's just what I got told and stuff. But you just, what you're saying.
Yeah, let's get you driving, bro.
Yeah, it does
let's
make
get you
sense.
driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, driving for you in your condition and your situation, right? Driving a vehicle with ag plates on it is much more important. You're going to get such the win from that than battling some invisible contract and ghosts. So don't battle ghosts, bro. You'd be swinging all day long, throwing your shoulder out. Don't battle ghosts.
The situation I'm in is not the best one, and I think it's the only way to go about it. So what are you saying, that it's agricultural plates here as well?
Yeah, that is same thing. I mean, we're, like I said, all IMF nations. You have to realize that the reason that the International Monetary Fund has cemented itself into all of these nations, and they're called IMF nation states, is because there's a common system of banking. Now, that common system of banking arose from the religious institutions and the farmers that established the land and started to own, quote unquote, the land, right? And then pass that land on and create a whole system of governance based around the control of that land. So that's what you're looking for right now, because the people who created the control over the land, they were people who were leaning heavy on religious and agricultural exemptions. So if you can find you have a trust that is a religious based trust, and now from that, it has provisions and clauses in it that allow you to annex those. Just tell me when you're ready, and we'll create an abstract that you can take and go and get a car, get your, it won't be a license. It'll be more like an ID card that'll just have your picture on it, with maybe your address, maybe, not registered, non-statutory. Just something to let them know that you are who you say you are. And then you don't have to hide anything. No hiding, no conflict, no heart thumping when the cop pulls you over and wants to see, what is it that you're driving, and why is it that you're driving this fancy truck or whatever with ag plates on it? What is this truck? You see what I'm saying? You don't, whenever a person who claims to be an authority figure is asking you questions, you want to remove the thing between them asking you the questions and your nervous system spazzing the fuck out.
exactly. Yep, no, I totally agree with you. And like, if I've got something to back up myself, well, that'll just take a lot of pressure off me, though. Though I'm pretty switched on with all this stuff, but I mean, it'll just take the pressure off me if it does happen.
Well, brother, the one thing that I can tell you is you need to schedule another call. S- Drop a line to Tony. Let's see if we can get you scheduled this week, and we can hash that out in 15 to 20 minutes. I think we could probably come up with a battle plan, and then what I'll ask you to do is just put together, just so that I can see that you're serious. You got to send me a rough draft of some kind. I know that you have trouble typing, so you can always speak it into something and get it translated and then send it over to me so that I can at least see that you really get the process, so that if you are pulled over, I know that you're not going to start spouting off some sovereign citizen stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, like I just use it. There's an abstract and it's a certificate, a trust certificate. That'll make
Mhm.
things a lot easier. And then if I've got a card,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it sort of it takes. Well, I mean, I'm thinking that the trust takes it's the one that owns everything, not me.
Yes. Yes, correct. Because at best, you can only be a 24/7 at will volunteer employee for the dream, bro. That's the situation that you're in right now. As soon as you really align with that and you really get it, on a deep level, you're gonna fly. You're gonna get
Yeah,
everything you want. You're gonna drive in the car. You're gonna be like, man, why didn't I even? Sometimes we ask ourselves, why is it that when we have the answer, or the answer's been, shared with us through some force or some other being that we come in contact with, why do we keep looking for a solution once we get the answer, right?
yeah,
Always be, because the situation that's been created for us is one of many problems, and those problems are designed to elicit a reaction, and a specific reaction, most of the time, that's pre-planned and all that. So it's easy to manipulate us if we're in problem reaction solution mode, but get the answer and then run with it. That's what I say.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, OC. I fully agree. And brother Dennis, I've seen too many examples of um, we've given out a lot of good information, and we're going to continue to do that, obviously. And people will gather some information, and then they'll always come back. Not always, but a majority of the time, they always come back. Um, and and they're, well, what about this? What about this? What about that? And not necessarily just you, brother, but I see this all the time. I see this all the time. And we're sitting here talking about how to play the middle of the road, how to utilize both sides. And somebody will come back with, oh, secure party crediting, and I don't have any bills, and what about the Moors, and what about this, and what about that? The answers are right, they're usually right in front of you. And it's when you go seeking and trying to seek too hard, is what I when they're right in front of you. It's like they're right in front of you. And then we go out, we're seeking, and we get all these different opinions from all these people that just know everything, right? And majority of the time they'll come back and be like, okay, I'm thoroughly confused. Can you tell me what the truth is again? So just keep that in mind, brother, when you're talking to people. Instead of letting them know what you're doing, just do it. Don't let anybody know what you're doing until it's done, because then everyone's got an
Boom.
opinion. They're gonna try to deter you from your path, brother. So just stay
Yeah.
on your path and don't say a word. Build the house and then throw the party.
Yeah, boom. Build the house in silence. Then throw that party. Throw a huge housewarming party when you've got everything locked in and you've got snipers at the gates. But until then, build that house in silence.
yeah. Yep. No, I agree with you. Though I've spoken to a couple of people about it, but they're just watching to see what happens.
Well, what happens is often nothing unless we make it happen. But like I said,
Yeah,
alignment. Align with it, and honestly, you won't be able to help but make it happen. There's a
yeah,
force that's greater than you that governs everything. And that force, when you align with it, it governs everything. Trust me, you want a governor. You don't want to be out here working off of human psychology and our emotions and our trauma and all of the things that each one of us come to the table with. You do not want to rely on that. It's not a good it's not a good beat on reality. You want a governor, something that's greater than yourself. And when you align with it'll show you the way back to the center, which is it also, but it is you, right? So it's a bit of a paradox, but it's almost like in order to be able to receive all of the information that you're looking for, you have to let go. The more information, the most information that I've ever received from that spiral was during one of a 10-day sit, a 10-day Vipassana sit. It's completely silent, just focusing either on the sensation of the breath at the tip of the nose or on the upper lip or in the nostrils, or focusing on just an energy ball, essentially, going through every single part of my surface of my skin. And that released more information to me, more long-lasting, permanent information that actually, digested all of the bullshit and, shat out a gold nugget for me. You see what I'm saying?
And like everything I've sort of spoken to you about, because I've spoken to you a few times, and like I get on nearly every call that you have, but I find this group to be quite informative compared to a lot of the other groups. There's a lot of bullshit out there.
Yes, sir. I mean, right off the bat, right in the first 3 or 4 minutes, we always try to tell you, tune into your bullshit detector. Don't ever go off anything that your gut goes, wait a second, this is bullshit. This is this is hitting all those marks. It's making me more confused rather than more clarified, more clear, more present. That's ultimately what truth brings you to, is a state of less confusion, a state where everything is simple. And we can call it ones and zeros. We know about the gray area in between, but at the same time, very simple, very transparent, open. We're willing to freestyle on these calls and take any question. Not because we're out here with bravado. You don't even see my name on the thing. We're really just trying to waken the thing that's inside of you that can change the world. You're the 100th monkey. Anybody who's listening to this, and through your actualization process, your dream comes into fruition, and it's the thing that ultimately tips the scales, balances the books. Makes it so that good and what we know is good. The Tao is ever present, but what we know is good. It resonates with each one of us, and we don't need to define it. It doesn't need to be in Black's law. We know what good is, and if we're in service for that, then we're clear. We're in the clear. That if you're really in service for it, it might be your last lap, and if it's your last lap, it's the victory lap, always.
Well said, brother. I wanted to welcome Shanna. If you guys, can you unmute your microphone at all? No, I just wanted to give an introduction to Shanna. She is our design gal, and the creative for content. So I just wanted to introduce her to everybody.
Awesome.
She'll be working closely with us. And
hey,
I guess you can't hear me, but hey, yeah. If you click on the screen, Shannon, on the bottom left hand side, you'll see a microphone with a line through it. You'll be able to unmute yourself with that.
Yeah, we really appreciate your work. Thank you. You do very good quality work, and you're very prompt, and that is one thing that we definitely is on our radar. So thank you. Thanks for coming on to the call.
Yeah, she said she tried to unmute, but it didn't work. But yeah, we the work is amazing, and we definitely look forward to keeping you on your toes, because we got a lot to get done. So yeah, Shannon, we really appreciate you, darling.
Yeah, and essentially, if for first time listeners and whatnot, the thing we're doing is, we've had a dream. Every member of the board and everyone that's connected to them, our tribe, our family, our wives, our children, everybody has had a dream, and we know that each one of those dreams is excruciatingly painful to lose from having as a child, and then growing up and not even being able to track it. Right. So at the same time, we also know that designing a way, um, and like Mr. Tony points out, it's an A to Z. We handle everything. All we need you to do is come with the dream and the commitment and the real earnest stuff, that passion inside of you, that's going to make the dream that's in service to others, the other humans, the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the slithering ones, right? The creepy crawlers, the soil, everything. The dream that's in the greater good of everyone. If you're in service to that, we're in service to you. So, that is essentially our mission statement. And we're just honored to have everybody tap into this. And I see that we're getting a lot of feedback on the previous recordings. Where can people who are first timers here, where can they tap into those other recordings that we've done, guys?
You'll see our recordings are being uploaded to YouTube generally by the next day. In the group chat, or the group page, sorry, I will drop all of our links. So we have the YouTube going with all the recordings and some cool shorts on there. One with the orphanage that we're working with, and of course all of our lives. And then also I will drop the links. We're not really quite going yet with like Instagram or X, but Discord is being built out, and we'll be all in all the socials very, very soon. So I'll drop the links for everything, but I will drop the links for the YouTube channel where you can find all the live recordings.
Awesome. And just so that people know, every single Tuesday and Saturday at the same time, they can tune into TrustLiveChat.com, and they can get the same conversation. Just a variety of it, and exploded in all of the fragments of the hologram possible.
Yes, absolutely. That is a stagnant link. So we're digging Brave Chat right now, or Brave Talk, which is what the domain is forwarded to, is this chat log. But no matter what happens, if we decide to change it up, it will always be TrustLiveChat.com is where you'll be able to tune into these lives every Tuesday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. I think it's 5 Pacific time.
Epic, brother. Epic. And now, as far as the website goes, so that people can see some of our offerings and, brief descriptions, send other people there, share this material, help as many people as possible. When is that website? When do you guys think that website's going to be ready for review? And then when are you expecting a launch date so that we can fill people in?
Yep, we are working hard this week to get that wrapped up. So we're probably looking at, like, say, Friday or Saturday, and it is trustmedicinepeople.com.
Epic. Good stuff. Yeah, very appreciative to be working with all of you. So that being said, does anybody have any
Soul does.
Oh, awesome. Bring it,
Go
brother.
ahead, Soul.
Oh, yeah. Actually, my wife Maeve, she was wondering if you have any spiritual books that you could suggest that help align us to this philosophy.
Oh yeah,
way of thinking.
absolutely. Start with the Tao. Start with the Tao Te Ching, right? And then from that, keep it on your toilet so that every time you're pooping, you're alive, right? Right? Keep it on your toilet. Get a copy for that. Get a copy for right next to your night table. Go very basic right now. Tao Te Ching. That's going to get you to a place of equilibrium faster than anything. Now, if you want to read like a novel, read something like Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That's really going to be, for most people, it'll be way over their head. It'll still provide the context of a really compelling story, and give you something that you'll be chewing on for the rest of your life. Now, if you want to go deeper into the physics and all that, read the Tao of Physics by I think it was Gary Zukav, or there was another one called the Dancing Wooly Masters, which was a great great tale. And then from there, honestly, for books, I've read thousands of books over the course of my life, like read through, skimmed. My wife has read way more than I have. She was an avid reader, would always get punished and because she'd be in the closet at 3 o'clock in the morning, reading a book or whatever. So she's read a lot. I've skimmed a lot. The way that I cycle through books is I'll go through them. I'll read the stuff that appeals to me, and then I'll put it under my pillow. And then occasionally I'll hold it in my hands like it's a tarot deck. And I'll know that I'm receiving that information. And that's simply because I had a prayer when I was young that I walked into a library in New York City and I said, I would love to be able to read any book in here and actually, even if I couldn't read through the whole thing, be able to read it and get it and grok it on an intuitive level and, understand the context and the language and whatnot. And, with every blessing comes a curse, right? So books are great. I love books. At the same time, if you're looking for spirit, if the breath is where it's at. Breath work is where it's at. That's the primary medicine right there. Anytime you're connecting with a plant, when that plant is at its best and the connection with it is strongest and most clear and coherent, you will be connected with your breath. Even if it's just the choppy breath where you're purging that trauma, you'll connect with the breath. And that's the best a plant can do, is bring you back to the breath, bring you back to presence. And then if you can learn to query certain questions to it and trust in its guiding spirit and the plant teacher wisdom, it can actually give you real strong information. But you can't right, but you can't go into it and be like, oh yeah, I know that I'm a shit because of this, this, and this, and then keep being a shit. You have to do something with it. Otherwise, it's not going to keep giving you the wisdom. It's going to go silent on you. And then at that point, you're getting high.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different when there's intention compared to like when I was in high school just to do it for the fun of it, Way different.
Yeah. All of us were in high school doing it for the fun of it,
Yeah, we didn't even know what we were doing. It was crazy.
We had no clue. No clue at all. Nope. Just out here experimenting with all kinds of pills and powders and tabs and and then my personal journey with my wife, we went to Ecuador for close to 8 years, and then Colombia for a couple, and drank medicine in the mountains and the jungle, and regularly, like on the new moons, 3 nights in a row, to make it as intense as possible. And really connected with some of the master spirits of these plants. And I'll tell you, I'm incredibly grateful for that. And at the same time, it's not the end all be all. And without the proper guidance, you're still gonna get led astray. You're still gonna have you got a lot of dying to do, no matter what. You gotta lie, all of us, we have a lot of dying to do, no matter what journey we're on. Words will only confuse things. So read the Tao Te Ching as the answer to the question. Read that. That'll tell you that words are bullshit.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Because we know in this journey, it's always been really a spiritual one. And a lot of dying, and Maeve's created this shirt, says freedom comes with unshackling the mind. Because like you said, there's a lot of things that need to die about us in order for us to really grasp what's going on.
Absolutely. And to unshackle the mind, unlearn. unlearn. That is the message of the day, you know. Release all of the things that you know, approach as many situations as possible with the beginner's mind, and unlearn the programming. And the best, clearest way to do that is dry fasting. Like dry fasting, you know, we carry water, and Dr. Emoto proved that that water is programmable. And because it's programmable, we're in a situation where we're carrying a program with us. So how to detox the program is to shed the program, let it evaporate, essentially. Do some dry fasting, do some dying during that process. And then on the other end, you know, there is a protocol for really dialing in that holographic matrix. But a lot of people aren't you know, they're just so, it's so taboo. You know, the truth becomes so taboo at a certain point because because all of the bullshit directs everything away from truth, right?
100%.
Yeah,
Yep,
brother.
I can tell. Yep.
Janai had recommended Thundering Silence Sutra on knowing the better way to catch a snake by
Yes.
Thich Nhat Hanh. And
Beautiful.
Ellie just did a 7-day dry fast. Impressive.
Boom! Whoa!
7-day dry fast. That's
so
impressive.
listen, guys. If you guys can't tell that the things that we've been talking about right here are truth, you know, Miss Ellie wouldn't be on the phone right now, because she's in a space where you know, she's the most tapped into truth that you can be on a certain level. After 7 days, you know, you're flexing. After 7 days, either you're flexing or you're trying to, or you're trying to rid yourself of some kind of quote unquote incurable disease. But if you go 7-day dry fast, and you know, you can feel, because you resonate your core being, and the core vibration is always going to be love. And you know, thank you, just thank you for gracing us with your presence on this call. You know, 7-day dry fast is no you know, that's no small thing, not at all. I did one of them in my life.
Definitely no small feat. My best was 15 days on distilled water. I think the longest I went dry was maybe 2.5 days, or like 52 hours or something. So 7-day dry, that's impressive. Ellie, congratulations. And yeah,
Yeah,
just
congratulations.
my hats off to you on that one. Great
Oh,
job.
thanks.
Yeah,
Well, day two is the hardest, so you get past that. It's not as hard.
Yep, because day 2 is like days 3 through 7 on distilled water fast, which is the second thing that can get you there the quickest. Right, distill the water, and then you know what I mean, because it's pretty much tripled or at least doubled the amount of detoxing and the amount of cellular repair that's going on during a dry fast. So yeah, day 2. Yeah, if everybody can just get past that I'm gonna die thing, and the headaches and the detox,
Yeah, it
you
is.
get
It's
really
like a
far.
it's like a medicine journey. There's like a purge. I threw up on day 2.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I could see that that's a I could see that. Yep, that's to be expected. You got to go into it with all full armor on. So let me ask you though, Miss Ellie, what is your experience with breath work?
I just do some intuitive breath work, like especially on a fast. So I built up
Yeah.
to do that fast over a couple years of practicing smaller fasts, but I don't really do a lot of, I guess, any breath work that I could really put a name on. I just do like a lot of slow, deep breathing. I have gone to a few like breathwork ceremonies where you just like super hyper oxygenate your body and kind of trip out on that. That's been really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yep. The specific type of breath work that I love, that you know, it is the core of my medicine practice. It's tumo, right? So tumo is essentially you know, I know that Carter's going to pull up the definition and drop it all drop it in here for everybody at some point. But tumo, you know, when you're doing tumo, think in terms of complete inhale with belly button out as extended as far as possible, and then on the exhale, belly button comes in toward the spine and up into the rib cage, and you're creating essentially a vacuum in your stomach. And I do 8 quick, full as possible breaths, and then on the 8th one, I exhale completely, and I pull that belly button in, and I hold it as long as possible. And it's funny because I found that exhaling is actually, it's weird. We live in this world of inversion where everything is upside down, right? So we think of breath work, we always think of inhaling. And getting as much oxygen into the system as possible. But where breath work is the most powerful is when you exhale completely, and then you can lock the bandhas and pull and create a vacuum in your stomach, and then massage your organs with that vacuum and hold it as long as possible. You get the deepest results, because the next breath that you take it's almost 2x the breath that you took before it. Right?
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
And during fasting,
wild.
I've been intuitively led to exhale really slowly and then hold exhales as long as possible, because it just feels
Oh,
like
yeah.
holding the exhale, like the body is like mirroring that emptiness. And it
Yeah.
feels really
And
nice.
that's emptiness is fullness. Huh.
Yes.
Who would have thought,
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you.
Yep, less is more, always. That's why I suggest Tao Te Ching. Keep it on the nightstand. Act like you're a 7th grader, and you're in this space where you don't need your intellect. All you need is maybe one book that speaks to you in 5th grade terms and can really resonate every line of it, where you're like, whoa, truth, 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 truth. I don't need to question this. What do I need to go on YouTube for? All I need to really do is close my eyes.
Yes.
Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let the monkey entertain you. It has many tricks for you. That monkey mind. Lots of tricks. It'll throw its poo. It'll dance around. It'll show you how clever it is, mostly because it wants you to keep it around, right? And as long as you let it keep doing that, and you keep returning to but there's the sensation of the breath on my upper lip or whatever it is. That's where the real power is, because the information that floods in when you can get into that state of presence is information that comes from that which is you but is greater than you. And
Yes. I'm
right.
receptive to receive.
Boom. So, that's how the transformation happens. It's let go, let go, stop knowing, no less, no more, and with a G, gnosis, right? GNO,
Yeah.
no more, right? But KNO, no less. I don't need I don't need all that stuff. I was classically trained in this stuff, and it's not anything that has truth at the end of the light. Right? That lighthouse leads to a fire, and in the fire, a lot of people are burning. So the truth is within you guys. That's it right there. You all know it already. I don't have to tell you. I'm just preaching to the choir at this point.
Yeah. My skin feels the truth of what you're saying.
Getting some goosebumps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing a lot lately, and it's within the medicine where I'm really tapped into my my center and my intuitive side, but that extreme exhale and just pushing it all out, pushing it all out, pushing it all out, and then holding it, and you get to the point where if you practice this, and it doesn't take much practice, but you'll get to a point where almost collapsing your lungs, and it feels like you took a giant breath of air and you're holding it. It's really hard to differentiate at a certain point. I would say like a week or 2 weeks if you practice this daily, and you get said just a little bit of practice, and that full exhale all the way, all the way, all the way, and just hold and sit in that silent void. It's almost indistinguishable of taking a full breath and holding it.
Right.
Damn near the same thing.
Well, that's inspiring. I'm going to practice.
It's kind of scary at first. You're like, your body goes into this immediate, I'm dying kind of reaction.
But then, the mind, you got to let the mind, let the body know. And then the heart too, of course, that's, the big thing. The heart knows what you're doing. Because it's for me anyhow, and it could be different for everybody, but I know me personally, it's a process of healing. Because I have a lot on my heart. I have a lot of weight on me from, just everything that a lot of childhood stuff. And then when I'm within the medicine, I'm working with medicine. It naturally makes me do it. I don't, intentionally do it at that point. Without the medicine, it's an intentional thing. Within the medicine, I'm like, oh, I gotta exhale all the way, and hold it, and then I'll speak some light language and work on my heart chakra, and I can physically feel it. I can physically feel things adjusting, and skeletally and even muscularly, like on the ligament and tendon. I can feel it physically. When you work on that emotional end, the physical follows, and that applies to everything. It's all
Alignment before action, brother.
Yes. Yep.
Yup.
Yep.
Yup. That's where it's at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, brother.
Full circle.
The breath responds to your intention too. Yeah, like with fasting. So if you fast with the intention of spiritual clarity, it's so different than like being scared that you're starving.
Yeah. It's different than
Yep,
fasting because you don't have any money to eat.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. I've often considered that, perhaps the best medicine for, for instance, we're sponsoring an orphanage in Uganda, and we're trying to get them, water catchment facilities and ways of filtering it. And we have partners there that are going to get them green tech and, et cetera, yada, yada. But it's going to be big. But the whole thing is, I look at it and I go, oh, wow, these people are starving. These children are starving. If they were taught breath work, breath, we're talking about Black's Law, etymology dictionaries. Aspire is to breathe. Spirit is breath. They're indistinguishable. And we are not breathing. We are breathed by something. The life force that sustains us, right? So that's the thing that if we can teach, Tony, if we can get some kind of way to do a mass a call with these children, and we can start with them with some 101 breath work, where we're in a session, maybe let's say 20 to 30 minutes at a clip, and every time they do the breath work session, we'll send them a specific amount of money for some food, some yams, let's say. Something that's not going to feed the parasites. No corn, no rice, no sugar. You know what I'm saying, brother. If we can somehow set that up, I would really appreciate that. And I would definitely donate my time, 20 to 30 minutes every single week for that.
Yeah, I can get that set up, brother. And I think that's a fantastic idea. While we, we're getting everything kicked off here, everybody. This is with the vision that we have in mind. It's a lot. We are working tirelessly and endlessly all day, every day. Our whole team, it isn't just Yossi and I. We got a team of including crypto stuff. That we're launching an orphan token to help with the funding of these projects, and to show how serious we are. But it's a lot. It's a lot. And I guess my point to that was, we've been donating. We have been sending money so they can eat. But and even in a third world, but it's still 80 children nonetheless. Our cost to, their cost, but it's also our cost, is $42 a day to feed these children. And we will get to that point where they're growing their own food, and they're fully self-reliant, and they're so self-reliant that they can bring in more children. We want them to add a 0 or 2, hopefully around that 20 mark, where that's not 80 children anymore, it's 8,000 children. We want them to be able to take care of, because the coordinator of this, he's doing a great job over there, but it's a struggle. And I can only imagine where you're trying to take care of all these children, and how do we and it's just like, all he can do is ask for money. That's all he can do.
Because because ultimately, brother, the situation that he's in is the situation that most people judge people like him who are in that situation. And that's, please help me, children are starving, right? And they are. And they are. And we know they are, but because we have compassion, we're still going to give them the money so that they can eat the corn in the temporary, while we're, creating the complete infrastructure and the way for people to actually donate specifically toward water infrastructure and keyhole gardens, so that they can grow food and support themselves, because every dollar spent toward that is going to 10x, because what we're doing right now is feeding parasites.
Right.
But at the same time, even though we're aware of it, I'm not going to see somebody die on my watch, right? Right. So, we do have to embrace paradox here. We know we're feeding parasites, but at the same time, the best thing that we can do is rid ourselves and our beings of those parasites, so that they're not attracted to the parasites that feed off of generosity. But we can actually use that as a leveraging tool. As humans, we are unique creatures. We have these complex structures that we create specifically through the mind, and the mind is not something that is, in case y'all are new to the call, or if anybody in the back hasn't heard me yet, the mind itself is something that we share. When I am at my best, I am not me. When I am me, I fumble over my words. I'm self-conscious. I need to look things up in the dictionary. When I am not me and I've completely checked out and I'm allowing the spirit that is in you to flow through me to be able to convey a message, simply to connect the dots for you, that's when I'm at my best. And that goes for each and every one of us. The minute that we let go and let God, set God free inside of you, set God free. I hate the terminology God, because it's been so bastardized and humiliated in a way. But we know what we're talking about. And when I talk about it, if I'm writing it down, I can't include the O. I took that right from the Orthodox Jews. They put a hyphen, G-O-D, and G-D. So I put the little squiggly line there because flow, the Tao, that's the thing that is God. But again, embrace paradox. We're talking about it. We have to convey this message to each other. We can't be too strict with language. Sometimes we have to be when lawyers are involved. But when lawyers aren't involved, freestyle, guys. And I really appreciate the way that the conversations throughout all of these open mics seem to come right back around to the point, that center point where we all connect to each other. And there is no right, there is no wrong. It's not about that. It's just about, at best, what do we do to get free while we're in these human bodies? And then from there, if there's something that's greater than ourselves, how can we be an instrument of its peace and well-being in this world, and actually live in a place where we're thriving and not just surviving?
Pro-fucking-found, brother. Profound. And you're absolutely right. It always comes back full circle to the core here. Whatever we're talking about, every single live we've been on, we get near that hour and a half, 2 hour mark, and it always comes right back to love, and it's just the 8. So yeah, a couple things. Janai wants to ask a question, but right before that, if everybody could just do us a favor, if you don't mind, I'm going to post in the group what everyone thought of the live meeting here. If you could give your input and be fully honest, no bullshit, just be honest about it. Even if you hated it, just be honest. If you could do that for us.
Yeah, we love the hate.
We love the hate. We love the hate because we'll transmute it and we'll return it in love. And then on the YouTube, I'll post that link as well. If you want, I did an interview with Richard. He is the coordinator of that orphanage in Uganda. You know, there's a lot of we talk about you know, where do people want to love to donate money because it makes them feel good as well. And it's like, where's my money going? I don't even know where my money's going. And is this even real? Is this a scammer? Is this, you know, whatever? We did a full on interview. I also posted pictures and videos. You know, these children are praying for us every day. You know, because when we succeed, they succeed as well. So it's really given us a boost. And you know, when the children are praying for us, they're praying for everybody involved with Trust Medicine people, not just our team, but everybody on this call. You know, you're all part of that prayer circle. So if you want to go ahead and
Talk
check that
about
out,
profound. Talk about profound. Those children's prayers mean more than anything you've heard on this call.
brother, I'm telling you, man, I can feel them. I can feel them when they, you know, I'm Uncle Tony Oz, but I know they're praying, bro, because I can feel it. I can feel the love that they are sending from the other side of the world, or the other side of the plane, or the other side of the matrix, or whatever you want to call it. You know,
Yeah,
but I can feel
let's
it.
get rid of that. Let's get rid of the global language in the intro, and we'll be all right, bro.
Yeah. But yeah, I can feel it from that distance because it's really not that far away because it's right inside us as well. So I can feel that. And I will post that link if there's an interview on YouTube that I did with Richard. It's like 22 minutes long. If you want to go ahead and watch that to know that they're the real deal. If you want to donate, you could donate directly on Remitly. It is a lot of information to plug in. It's slightly confusing. Otherwise, I do have my card directly linked with Cash App, ready to go. You know, like recent sender. You know, recent donation, whatever.
But that is, you know, full transparency. That is creating a taxable event on your public entity side, brother. And we do want to, you know, Carter, James, we definitely do want to rectify that as soon as possible. You know, get the orphanage set up. I guess that's my job. Get them set up with some kind of framework on their end. And
Right.
then Tony, you know, we operate just through the trust entity and wired bank accounts, preferably if we can get some kind of donation link that goes into a wire, so that we can make sure that they get exactly what they need and that the, you know, Uncle Sam's not out there sniffing around.
Yeah, no, absolutely, brother. Definitely in the works. It's just, you know, that new venture. It's a little difficult to navigate that when we're working with third world. You know, we were trying to do something with like cryptocurrency. They don't do crypto over there. It's just not accessible. So yeah,
Well, not yet. Not yet. We're
not yet.
making big moves over there.
We are making big moves. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some partners restoring the infrastructure of Libya and doing some really amazing things in Africa. So yeah, you know, 20 years from now, Africa will be like the United States was back in the 60s or the 50s. Trust me on that.
We definitely want to bring everything up to par and even the fields on a not so global basis, you know, just on a whole basis. And then one last thing I just wanted to mention, you guys, if you feel compelled in your heart, and we obviously would really appreciate it, and it would help the whole vision, the whole mission. Our group page is growing pretty quick. I think in the last roughly 30 days, I think we've reached like 500 plus members in the group. If you feel compelled, obviously you don't have to, but it's really appreciated. If you go to the page or the group page and hit invite, it's super easy. If you go to suggested friends, after you hit the invite button, you hit the suggested friends. I think it's the second option, and you can simply click invite all, and it takes 2 seconds. And you know, depending on your following, you can add another 50 to 100, 200 people to the group pretty quickly, and it would only help this mission exponentiate. It's already an exponentiating factor, but you know, if we can expand that even more, it would be greatly appreciated. So that is all I had. And then Janai, you had your hand up. Go ahead, darling.
Hi guys, thank you. Just about the mother child orphanage, I was wondering what you guys thought, or if there is any, like, regarding parasites. I know it's not a,
Yes.
it's not everything, but what about iodine in the water? Is that already in place?
Yep.
Okay, I
You know,
figured so, but I just was wondering.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
We're looking to be able to put Lugol's iodine in the water to be able to
yeah,
get rid of all those parasites,
right,
purify that water.
right. That was my
But
first
at the same,
idea. In the meantime, was, yeah,
yep.
iodine for sure. Yeah,
Iodine, also something similar to a Berkey system, but you got to realize they don't have access to technology. It's hard to ship stuff into Uganda.
that's
It's hard to
right.
get stuff, right? It's hard to get supplies on the ground. So
Yeah,
essentially, what we're dealing with here is gutters.
yeah,
And the thing that we're going to next provide them with is a water cistern. And
yeah,
then we're going to send them Lugol's iodine. We have some connections on the ground that can get them that product.
yeah,
Now, from there, they will dose their water supply with that in order to be able to do that. But at the same time, they're going to need sand and gravel and
yeah.
charcoal and the basics of what a Berkey system would deliver in a third world country. Should it have to be replicated, just by the basics of what they can pull from the land with a shovel.
Right, right. Yeah. And do you prefer Lugol? I mean, obviously Lugol's is it's the
Oh,
most
absolutely.
effective for the least, amount of money, but
Yep.
got you. I was
Yep.
using, can I just ask an off question? If you ever use Detoxidine,
The Toxidine. No, what is this?
it's a negatively charged, it's a nascent iodine by Global
Z
Healing
Does it have
Center.
zeolite in it?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
Okay, so negatively charged. What you're talking
Yeah.
about right now is
Nascent.
essentially iodine, right? Because
Yeah,
iodine is
it is already. Yeah.
right. So iodine is the big daddy of the atomic family. It's the
Correct.
thing that's going to cut through everything. It's the big dog. So that's the thing that we put in with everything else, because it's not only going to attract all of those heavy metals, it's going to also create the mechanism for the body that comes in contact with it to be able to detox rapidly from those heavy metals.
Right.
And it's also going to kill the parasites. Right. It also kills all
Right.
those little critters that give them, the number one cause of death is diarrhea.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Diarrhea and access to or not having access to clean water. That's it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if we can alleviate that one problem right there and facilitate an open source model where people get a pamphlet, and in their communities or orphanages or whatever it is that they're doing to help others, they have protocols in place for keyhole gardens where all of their waste is not only recycled, but it's exponentiated through the worms that are in the soil in the center of the garden. Keyhole gardens are the way to go to feed small villages. And then if you want to expand from that, start planting trees, fruit. Plant fruit everywhere. A food forest is never going to go to waste. Never. Even if it just feeds the soil. If they took every single Kmart and J.C. Penney that has been that you're just seeing an empty lot at this point. If they took all of those, demolished them, paved them over, put a bunch of ash and rock salt on the ground, and then plant some keyhole gardens, that one thing would alleviate hunger. It's so simple. And the simplest things are the things that are most paradoxical, because you wonder, why is it that there's no political or any other kind of gumption to be able to alleviate these issues if the solution is so thoroughly simple? And it is in this case. World hunger is cut people off from the if you need to convert petroleum into nitrogen in order to be able to dump pesticides onto the soil and turn it into a sponge to grow corn and rice and things that feed parasites, what does that mean about the system that created that? It means that it is a parasite. So, we can't get away from the fact that we're at war with not each other, but spirits, principalities. They come in the form of parasites that infect us. And they've infected the soul stream at this point. And that's the thing that, if there is a war going on, that's the enemy right there, right?
Yeah. I was
The
going to
capital P
comment.
parasite.
I was going to comment on your Libya and the cryptocurrency, which I know when I first friended Tony on Facebook, he was into that, and I just only recently really realized what that meant. I went back and watched an old video of Gaddafi talking about his address to the UN, essentially, which got him whew, anyway.
Which is essentially why this is these
Yes.
conversations. They're so it's almost like we're up against the time clock, guys.
That's right.
There's a reason why I share music with my friends. It's because remember me, that kind of thing.
Right.
That's the space that we're in right now. Is that at any moment there are powerful interests that have snuffed people out with missiles that can do it for each and every one of us. So don't get too big before and don't spread a message that's too powerful unless you make sure that people can really grok it, and that you have a real good core of people who can carry it on, and that should you have to come back into this mess, that because you trust in your core that it'll be better. It'll be better, at least in some way, or somebody would have fought for you. So Uganda is our pet project, let's say.
Yeah.
Libya that's where it starts.
Yeah.
That's going to be the transformation right there.
It's really interesting.
The projects that we have pending with partners in Libya to restore their infrastructure, to be able to provide not only an energy grid, a currency for them, a way for them to achieve some kind of semblance of a fair election, should such a thing even be possible with computer software generating the results, right? But at the same time, we do have partners, and we are in the process of, it's not Gaddafi's vision. His vision was more, it was more that vision that some people, that who is it on this, Mr. Saul, he's talking about the secured party creditor, Mr. Gaddafi. He was coming from that space. I'm a secured party creditor. I'm creating a currency for my people. That's not the way that you want to go about it.
Yeah.
You want to get grants from the UN to restore their grid, to get them jump started as a government, and you want to make sure that you have leverage points the entire way. And you want to make sure that while on paper it might look one way, in reality, the people of Libya are the people who will be thriving, because they have a currency that's actually backed by something that comes from their ground.
Yep. Very cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Does anyone have any questions they want to ask in relation to what we're talking about here?
I think I just have more of a comment that I really appreciate, Yossi, when you said, to Saul and I'm sorry, maybe Mr. Wild there, to keeping your plans private. This is one thing that I struggle with, and maybe again on the back end, talking to people more about when I woke up. I woke up very quickly.
Right.
And waking up quickly and sharing and wanting to help, and that's really proven to be dangerous.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And I'd just like to tell people from experience, I'm sure most of them on the call have had this experience. But yeah, the wake up slowly, and that's good advice to kind of keep things private, right? And
Yep. Yep.
when you
Absolutely.
doing it, when you've achieved it, because there is a lot of forces working against, I feel, me personally, and within family, and people don't understand, and yeah, back to
Yep.
just great
Not.
advice here, and I
Yep.
just want to
Yep.
tell
Yep.
you that I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Yeah. That is a very important thing right there. You don't want to go blabbing about everything that you're doing. That's why, what you guys hear on this call, this is 10%. 18 at the best. 18% of what we're working on. And we're very careful to just, drip it out there as much as we can, knowing that the grand vision is so much better. And you, each one of you is intricate in that. If you're on this call, or for some reason you're re-listening to it and you're inspired by anything that we've been talking about, just know that your vision, that's the most important thing. But keep it close to the chest, because there are entities out there, and there are parasitic entities specifically, that will try to attach to it, and they will try to derail it by any means possible. They're all about the BAM, right? By any means necessary.
Yeah.
Yossi, we are still doing the healing retreat resort centers, correct?
So I mean, that's at the core. That's what inspires me at my core, is sanctuaries throughout the realm. I don't really like the global language, because I'm not going to be fed some bullshit depiction of what it is that is my reality. At best, I know that I was born a conscious being into a flesh suit. I am a biological machine, and that machine, I know the mechanistics of it dissolve at my emotions, and that my emotions are the thing that drive me, and my emotions tell me, I'm not spinning on a ball. I know that for certain, because that's the thing that's been told to me, that is the reality that I'm experiencing. Now, from there, I don't care if it's an egg or whatever it is, or a hexagon, or there's an ice wall around it. I don't really care at that point. All I know is that the reality that I experience is not the reality that's been portrayed to me and taught to me in textbooks as the reality that I should be programmed to experience. And that's the thing right there. If we can all get into that space, then I think we'll be in a different world, much quicker. That's an exponentiating factor right there.
Yeah,
right?
brother,
Because
you hit it right. You hit it right on the head. When I don't know how many years ago it was now, almost a decade ago. I was one of the pioneers. Nathan Thompson. I actually started that group. And I was like, I was by Lake Michigan, and I'd never even heard of the flat Earth theory. Never even heard of it. And I could see Chicago, and anyway, besides the point, I never even heard the theory. And all of a sudden it clicked. Like, I've been lied to. I started crying. It was crazy. As we move forward, flat earther diehard for 4 years. For the first 2 years of that, just up everybody's ass. It's not a globe. It's not a globe. And then
it's a trap, though. That's a trap.
Yeah, bro. So, and then I came across some information regarding concavity and propagation of light, and I'm like, okay, shit, it's not flat, it's concave. And then, like, 6 months later, I'm sitting here I'm reading this thread about, because now it's not globers versus flatties, it's flatties versus concavers. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you guys both realize you've been lied to. Why are you fighting?
Yeah,
both
divide
know
and
that.
conquer.
Right. Right.
Divide and conquer. That's been the name of the game for thousands of years. Listen, the enemy, if there is such a thing, because there is no separation. If there's an entity, if there is any kind of enemy, it's you. You're at war with yourself. But the enemy, let's just say, which is deception, that which lies, right? And that which lies to you will tell you that it is one certain way, and it will create a whole bunch of bullshit fiction to be able to justify that specific perceptual means and that vantage point. So yeah, Tony, you hit it right on the head. And it's a psyop all around. Anything that you're hearing is pretty much a psyop, you know? pretty much it's a psyop.
Yeah, you do some hardcore medicine, and you're like, I think I am just projecting this whole thing.
Yep. I'm some diamond in a mine projecting this whole reality on behalf of the whole, only because, through this specific vantage point, it makes sense. And that's it right there, right? We're all fragments of the hologram, having the same experience in any given way, determined by our fingerprint.
Yep, absolutely, brother. So, everybody, I just moved into a new house today. I still have some things to wrap up, but Yossi, you are more than welcome to keep keep on keeping on. If anyone wants to hop on, hop off. We're at that about that 2 hour mark. I did post the YouTube link in the group. So you can go ahead. All the lives, we record all of them. All the replays will be in there. I think we're one behind right now. We're trying to recover that one. Actually, we had some tech issues. But otherwise, all the lives are generally posted the next day for replay. If you want to review something, go back over something, or send it to somebody or whatever. And then again, the one thing I'm just asking everybody to help us expand this puppy is just go ahead and send out a mass invite to our group page. The more people we get on, the faster we can get moving with this, the more like minds we can get together and talking. And when we have those like minds that we can all fill our hearts with love and our minds on that right vision and the right mission that we're on to make a difference in this world, the faster we can do that. And every invite and every talk to your neighbor about it, whatever, every little bit helps. So we really appreciate it. But with that being said, I appreciate and love all of you. I am going to hop off though, and then Yossi, do your thing, brother.
Yeah. you know me, bro. I'm here until the last voice stops asking questions or delivering answers.
Soul just asked the Facebook page if you just type in Trust Medicine People, it should pop up. If it doesn't, Carter, if you're on at the moment, could you drop the Facebook link in the chat? But it should pop up if you just type in Trust Medicine People.
I sure can.
Either that, Soul, or whoever invited you. I'm not sure if you didn't find it through the page. I'm not sure how you found it, but it is divine.
I think that was Mr. Carlos, which is a friend of mine.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carlos. Appreciate it.
I
Carter,
found the page.
You found the page. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. And then the YouTube is on there too on the
I
page?
just created a post with the YouTube link in the comments.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you for hopping on, Soul, brother. We really appreciate your time, man. And thank you for all the questions again, because even if they seem like there's too many, it's never too many questions. Somebody's gonna have that question in the past, in the future, in the present. And these are recorded, so those questions will be answered to more than just you. So again, brother, we really appreciate it. Thank you for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you. And next time I'll have more questions. I'll be more prepared. I
Perfect.
appreciate you guys.
Perfect. Love it. Love it.
All right. All right. Have a good night.
All right, you guys. Peace and love. Thank you again.
Yep. So guys, I guess this is the after party. So if y'all just want to vent or just drop questions or whatever, at this point we can drop off the line. Not important. But thank you all. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much. Personally, I don't have any other questions.
Yeah, I've
Okie
actually,
dokie, guys.
I just,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just sort of questioned, and I'd like to see what you got to say about this one. It's not to do with the trust. I was looking at something today about ivermectin, and it was
Yeah.
saying that it's good for clearing out parasites, especially in your eyes, and also with cancer. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, sir. Ivermectin, fenbendazole, these are great pharmaceuticals that can be used in short term to be able to alleviate parasites. The trouble is that people eat pork while they're taking ivermectin, right? And pork is their diet isn't right. So you have to kind of come at this with a holistic view. You can't just take a powder and think that it's going to cure you of an intestinal parasite, specifically wormwood, black walnut hull, clove. That'll do a much better job of ridding your system of intestinal parasites than ivermectin.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah, always go with the plants. Whenever there's a plant alternative available, go with that every time.
So I have a question related to that. Is that okay?
You should know by this time.
Yeah. Well, if you and Dennis are done talking, but thank you. I've had some experience with friends who have extreme parasitic infections and again, eyes, liver, deeper tissues, and
Mhm.
it's really what my comment is. I would say it's really dependent on the person. Whereas sometimes always herbs and plant medicine first. I've also seen success with fenbenzidol, the other one, denbenzidol. What is the other one? They're anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They
I
sound
got you
like
though.
twins and
Yep,
ivermectin used
yep.
together, but using them by yourself or just as a friend recommended, because again, first of all, you've got to starve the parasites, and there's a weed and feed protocol where you can actually eat something that would feed them, right, and then hit them with that triple
Right,
cocktail.
like for
Right.
instance, a sugar cube with some
Exactly.
turpentine, right?
Right, yeah,
Trojan horse.
sugar cubes are the best. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Trojan horse.
Right.
Go with
Yeah.
the greats.
There's so
Sugar
many
feeds
ways,
the
but
parasites, and the
yeah,
fenben or the ivermectin will
yeah,
destroy them. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's really important, just regarding parasites, if anyone's thinking about it, that trying to obtain these medications from your doctor. I mean, good luck. Like you can order pet meds, and you can vet meds and stuff to circumvent that. Which is what most people, how they obtain them. But it's really unlikely, because if you do a parasite cleanse but you don't like, let's say you hit them with ivermectin, for instance, you have other varieties of parasites that are just going to survive and burrow deeper into your organs. So a lot of people who are using these antiparasitics without guidance are actually creating deeper tissue parasitic infections inside of the organ tissue, because that's why you can't detect them, when you have a parasite test. Right, they hide in fat. Exactly, B, thank you. They hide in fatty tissue, which is your liver, your, brain, your organs. And
Yep, the
so,
epithelial.
yeah,
Yep,
epithelial. Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So I would just comment that that really depends, right? Whether
Yeah,
ivermectin is effective. For some, it's not for others. Same with wormwood and clove, from my experience only, right? It really depends on the person. What's their diet? What are they dealing with? How much fat do they have?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I get into a space where I was eating that. If I was really trying to go after the parasite, which that is the core of my regimen, it is to dry fast intermittently every day if possible, and then eat something. If I need to refeed, eat something that's not going to feed the parasite. So that's usually fruit. Fruit. Believe it or not, fruit. That's where the bioavailable condensed sunlight. That's where it's most available. But if you can't get fruit, consider some kind of source of protein, whether it be flesh based, and you're in that space, or an avocado or something like that with high fats but has some kind of protein to it, pumpkin seeds, etc. You always want to be going after them. You do have to throw the full kitchen sink at these buggers to be able to get them to evacuate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wormwood, black walnut hull, and clove specifically. That's Dr. Hulda Clark developed that remedy. Wormwood gets the adults. The black walnut hull will attack and not so much attack, but will synthesize your body to a space where it can repel all of the rest of them, because it contains a high amount of iodine and bioavailable iodine, which isn't contained in the synthetic Lugol's variety that we recommend. And then the clove, go after the eggs. Know that they're going to hatch in 30 days on the new moon. They will hatch, and they will propagate to a space where on the full moon, you are eating shit that you would never put in your body, only because they've hijacked your control panel, essentially.
Yeah, I'd like to say I'm completely hijacked right now. I've never been this addicted to carbs and shit in my life.
Yeah.
And it's like unbelievable. And I know for sure, right? I mean, for sure. And I'm having trouble getting to the fasting point, right? Because it's
Because pain is the
right.
thing.
Right, because the
That's their
comfort.
leverage
Shut up.
point.
If you take away my comfy blanket, what am I gonna? Right, I'm gonna freeze to death.
Right.
This is the fear. Yeah.
Yep,
So,
Herxheimer.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Herxheimer reaction.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing right
And
there.
even fear to start. I mean, they have their grips in me. In full honesty, right now, I'm struggling. I'm in an energy crisis, and every day I'm like, I'm gonna do something about this energy crisis after I eat this cookie. Right. So it's like
Hey,
I'm feeling very weak in my yeah.
on a personal note,
Yes.
can you travel with your rabbit?
No.
Oh,
That is that is what I wanted to talk to you and Tony on the back end, is that he's not travelable.
because
Yep.
I really need I have a meeting coming up in South
Ugh.
Africa, and then one in Dubai,
Shit.
where the only thing that's keeping me from booking a ticket right now is that I do not have somebody to sit my dog and my 2 cats, and my wife and I can't go
Yeah.
unless that happens, and it's a very big meeting,
Now,
and I would love somebody I could trust.
yeah,
And I would listen. I would even pay for whatever transportation that was necessary for for your rabbit to get from point A to point Z. Please.
well, let's talk about this maybe privately and see. I'm also living hand to mouth doing elderly care again, but I'm of the new mindset, as opposed to my old one, that nothing is impossible. So I'm
Hey.
at least going to entertain. That's why I joined the call, because again, normally I wouldn't, but this is a new version of me emerging. So yeah,
Well,
we can
yep. Let's
certainly
connect on the
discuss.
back end.
Okay.
Let's work it out. Let's figure out what we can do.
Yeah. Aloha B. So good to see you. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks
Aloha.
guys.
Hey, Yossi,
Boom.
real quick. Did you say it was just how many dogs?
Oh, at one point, I had 11 dogs under my care. My wife and I were living on a beach in Ecuador alone, and we would let this one dog come into the house. And when she was in the house, half of her was in the house, the other half of her was outside the house. The half of her that was outside the house was getting impregnated every single day. So when she gave birth in our living room, it was to 11 puppies, and we had to care for each one of them and provide homes for them. That right there, guys. Like if you don't know the love that you can have for a dog, and where you're ready to take on the burden of what the dog does just by its just because it's a dog, you have not loved the dog. And I found a dog here. Goldie is our dog. She's a mutt. She's a pit bull. She's a red nosed hound, and she's raised three kittens. Two of them we have in our possession. They are her kittens. She's the mama bear, right?
Well, I have family in St. Louis, bro. That's why I was asking.
Oh, please, brother, hook me up.
Yeah,
All
dogs,
I need
bro?
is somebody to come into these. I've got the cabins fully set up. I've got the land fully set up. It's a very comfortable situation, off grid, very dialed in. At the same time, I definitely need somebody that I can trust to sit with my dog and my cats.
Yeah, I can ask either my cousin Nicholas or my cousin Sam might do it.
Yep, just make sure that they're good people and that they love those animals. Because if they love them, they can come and stay here while we're doing our thing.
Yossi, can I ask you how long of a stay? How long you'll be gone?
Could be 3 weeks.
Okay.
Could be 3 weeks in South Africa. Could be up to a month and a half in Dubai.
Okay. And you're located where again? Missouri.
Right, Missouri. So the Mark Twain National Forest. Got a homestead out
I've
here.
never been. Yeah.
Hey, how far is that from St. Louis?
About 2.5 hours.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see, bro.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll talk on the back end, because if it is something where there's a cabin and I can keep Rabbit separate from everything,
You can.
Then
there are two cabins.
Right.
There are two cabins. One of them is my office space, and in that one, you definitely could keep the rabbits, and they would be completely warm and perfect.
Yeah,
Well,
he's just one, but yeah, we'll talk, and I'll see if anything makes sense. Cool.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I dropped a link for the Discord. If you guys want to sign up on that, I'll drop it again if you don't see it. But go ahead and click on that Discord link and see if you guys can get in and get on those conversations there too.
Awesome, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, James. I think I laughed at your Discord because I thought that was just a joke. I didn't realize, again, the terminology escapes me. So sometimes I might laugh not appropriately, but that's just because I thought we were, it was, I thought it was a joke, but it's a Discord. Now I have to go
Discord
look
is
up the definition of what the hell the other definition.
Yeah, Discord is traditionally for like gamers and people, but at the same time, you got to realize that those people have dialed in the most privacy protections available, and a very good system for organizing information and being able to deliver it in real time. So yeah, Discord is definitely a good platform.
Excellent.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. Well, anyone got anything else? Okie dokie.
Yep. Thank you, Josie, for answering my questions earlier, and I appreciate working with everybody here.
Absolutely, bro. We
Ditto.
definitely appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, guys. 21:28 Central Standard Time. Meeting of the Minds, Saturday Night Live, open mic session officially dismissed. And we love all of you and thank you for joining. Come back next time, Tuesday, same time, same bat channel.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Peace
take
and
care.
love.
Take care, fellas.